I just want to make sure it's working. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Blanca, I think you're muted. No.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Hers apparently has a problem where she has to plug it and unplug it every time she uses it.
With the camera too.
Hey, Blanca,
Yes, sir.
if if you have any questions, you can private chat me, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah, if you have any questions about anybody in the waiting room, or
Got it.
I think police will probably just be Major Cluddy tonight. I'm not sure whether Captain Serpis or Captain Collins are joining or not. I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Bob.
So, I guess we'll start letting people in a couple minutes. Just, and they can, I believe they can only post questions. Is that correct? Is that how we're managing it?
I think you've gone back, according to Sharon, you've gone back to your old format, which I don't know what that was because that was before my time. Is Bianca on here?
Yes.
Okay. She may be able to address that better than I.
Blanca, do you know the plan?
I I wasn't really told anything regarding that.
Okay.
I'm
And
going to admit them, and if we need to, we can mute and
yeah.
hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, you can control them.
Yeah.
Actually, can you admit them and mute them at the same time? And then they raise their hand, we can let them in. Major Coletti's waiting to get in, so he's got full privileges.
Okay.
So Blanca, you can show that FEMA screen after I say hello.
Okay.
And that'll just be a 30-second commercial, and then we can go to Rebecca and then Major Coletti.
Which one is he? I see iPad, Stephen Z, Darlena, and FGTRONCOSO.
I think he might be that last one.
That
Let me see.
there's a Darni Bala Chandar.
No, he's usually JS Coletti at COPGMDUS.
I don't see anything that is like that.
He said he's on the link.
Unless he's under iPad, but that's the only other strange. iPad just left.
It's 7:30. Should we start letting people in?
Wait a minute, let me see what.
Yeah,
Okay.
check with him to see what happened. Hopefully he's on the right link. Excuse me.
Okay, he sent me a screenshot. He said, let me see. Yes, he's the iPad.
Oh, he just left.
And he's coming back.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, we can, whoever's in the waiting room, we can let in.
Okay.
And
He's
then
not, he's not yet.
Not yet. Okay,
There he comes.
okay. And Blanca, you're able, when it's his turn, you're able to pull up the maps and crime stats, right?
There he is.
Okay,
Yes.
All right.
okay, okay, good.
There's 5 in the waiting room. So
Okay,
admit them all.
sure. And we'll get started because we have a few minutes of extra stuff to start with Rebecca. So. Well, let me know when everyone's in and then I'll start.
Okay. The mayor is signing in now.
Is everyone in now? All right.
Hold on, somebody else just popped in. Bianca, can you see the other two that just popped in? Because they just went away on my screen.
Yes, I can see them.
Okay, can you admit them? I don't know what happened.
They're admitted already.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, there'll be
good.
more people joining us. So, but let's get started. Hello, everyone. This is our quarterly community public safety meeting. And we have I have a quick announcement. Blanca and, well, Sharon Fletcher is not with us tonight. She's on vacation. And filling in is Blanca Zalea, one of our newest public services employees. So welcome, Blanca. Thank you for helping tonight. Blanca, can you pull up that FEMA screen for me? So just a brief public safety message, since this is National Fire Prevention Week, October the 8th to the 14th. And this year's theme is Cooking Safety Starts With You. And so I'm not going to give a presentation on that, but you have the link now. It's usfa.fema.gov/prevention. And you can, you see some of the information that's scrolling through the screen. There's a lot more fire safety information at this location. And again, it's Fire Prevention Week, and cooking safety starts with you. And we had a request to put that that address in the chat. Blanca, can you do that for us while we're moving on?
Yes.
One of the things we want to do tonight is, again, an added feature. Our city animal control officer, Rebecca Bailey, has prepared a brief presentation on animal welfare. And so in the interest of time, I'll just turn it right over to Rebecca. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So the theme of today, gonna get my screen shared quick. Everybody can hear me, right?
Mhm.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right. Everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so hello again, everybody. I'm Officer Rebecca Bailey with College Park Animal Control. Again, I'm the Animal Control Officer for the city. We're going to do a short presentation on bite prevention and safety that I've put together for the meeting today. We've had more than one resident express concern about safety regarding at-large dogs. The presentation will educate on the signs to read body language, steps on staying safe with an at-large dog interaction, and resources on whom to reach out for help within the city. Right. So the first slide that I have here, we're just going to go over kind of step by step, just saying that we're on a walk, whether with your dog or without your dog. You're going to walk in a neighborhood and you're coming across a dog. It seems to be somewhat aggressive. You're unsure. Just going to go over what you should do in that situation. First step would be to assess the situation. Call the authorities immediately if you feel unsafe. And I stress that it's better to be safe than sorry. You know, if you're feeling like you're unsafe, I would rather you be dialing that 911 call than trying to figure out whether or not the dog is aggressive, or calling, you know, if you don't know if you need to call 911, but it's never a bad idea to be calling 911. You're never going to get in trouble for calling 911 if it's, you know, there's a reasonable reason to. It's the fastest way to get help. These interactions can turn badly very quickly, so having your phone already dialing that number is the best way to get help as soon as possible. Step number 2 would be, if the dog is acting aggressive, move slowly. All your movements shouldn't be, you know, jerky, sudden. All of those sort of things can make a dog kind of feel more like you're kind of coming after them as well. Just slow movements if you can. Never turn your back on the dog. Some dogs will see this as an opportunity to attack. If you can, keep an eye on the dog. You know, we're moving slowly. We're not turning our back on the dog, facing the dog. You know, sometimes it's kind of like how they teach you with bears, you know, kind of making yourself larger. It does suggest to be quiet, not so much yelling or screaming. Of course, if you need to, you know, yell for help, obviously that would be better than not yelling. But the point is, you know, no jerking, no jumping, no, like, these sort of things are just going to have the dog kind of focus on you more. You're going to be more interested or more of a threat to them for whatever reason that they're being aggressive. So never turn your back on the dog, and don't run. If you've ever heard somebody say that running triggers their prey drive, it's absolutely true. Not every dog has a prey drive, but you don't know that in that situation. So it's better to not run and risk them chasing. So obviously, if for whatever reason you felt that if you could run and get to safety very quickly, that would be different. But if you're not sure, it's better to not run. Again, don't turn your back, face the dog, slow movements. Third would be, if necessary, put something between you and the dog. You know, if you're in a neighborhood and the house you're in front of has lawn chairs or lawn ornaments or something, you know, you don't have much in your hands, or you didn't carry much with you, anything to put between, even if it's something like a lawn chair, something between you and that aggressive dog is going to be such a difference between, you know, you getting bitten and not getting bitten, or getting bitten minorly. Putting something between, having that, like a lawn chair, a rake, a large stick, that dog biting that lawn chair, that rake, because oftentimes they will, instead of biting you, is such a big, you know, until you can get to somewhere safely. Again, if you're putting that thing between you and moving closely, and your back isn't turned and you're walking backwards slowly, keeping an eye on the dog, this is what you're going to want to do to get out of this situation safely. If you are bitten, so if for whatever reason you've done all of these things and, you know, you still get bitten, whether it's your arm or your leg, recommendation to not pull back. You know, a lot of dogs will bite and then not let go. So pulling back, unfortunately, would only cause you more trauma. Tearing and pulling, you're going to only end up more injured by pulling back and fighting. There are things that you can do if you're being held. You know, go for the eyes, go for the ears, nose, things like that, all the sensitive areas on the dog's face once you are actually bitten. If you cannot fight the dog, if some examples of being able to fight the dog would be to try to kneel on its chest or break loose. This would be if you were able to fight. If you cannot fight, best case, you know, would be to curl into a fetal position, because if you have to choose between your arms and legs and your vital organs and face, you should choose your vital organs and face especially your neck area, you know, curling down your head and your neck area. These are the things that you want to protect most. So if you're gonna choose the worst, you know, the best of the two, always try to you know, put your face and put your chest and your organs into safety. Curl into that, and don't get up until the dog is at least 20 feet away. Honestly, the suggestion was 20 feet away. I just would keep protecting yourself until it's safe personally, you know, until you know that it's safe to get up, because if you got up too early and the dog kind of refocused back on you, and you could have been staying still, that would be the situation. And then obviously best case scenario, this is how you interact with the dog until safety comes. You've dialed 911, you've fought off the dog, and then hopefully police or ambulance are coming to your aid. So hopefully we never have to go through any of this kind of situation, but you know, life is what it is, and you want to, you know, it's not something that is taught very frequently on how to deal with this, and this is part of the reason why we're doing this today. So, all right, so who do we call? You know, I'm seeing a dog, I'm walking with my dog and seeing a dog. What do I do? In College Park, our animal control officer is me. I work daylight hours, Monday through Friday. Prince George's County Animal Services works on call for emergencies 24/7. So, you know, again, you're seeing a dog, you're walking. Is the animal showing signs of aggression? If yes, call 911. Again, we want the fastest response for something that's a risk. If it's not aggressive, no, it's just at large, call the animal services. If you don't know the proper animal services for whatever area you're in, try to call. You can call 911, try to call the non-emergency police line. None of them are really a wrong answer. If the animal appears sick or in immediate danger, if yes, call 911. If no, call animal services. So, and then I've listed phone numbers down here at the bottom, Prince George's County Animal Services, and then College Park Animal Control down here at the bottom for you. Let me make sure I have a little video for you. Let me make sure I got the sound sharing on. Do this every time. Okay, I think that should be right. Let me know if you don't hear this. It's a short 2-minute video.
Walking our dogs, there's always the potential to come upon a loose dog. What do you do in that situation? Well, we're going to show you with a few tips and tricks and strategies. All right, so this next trick, now that is going to be useful if you already know the dog, and preferably if your dog already knows the other dog and you know they're going to be friendly together. Word of warning, do not do this if it's a strange dog, because you're probably going to make your situation worse. But if they're already friends, you can use this next one. All right, so we're not going to let loose dogs stop us from enjoying our walk with our pups. Just keep in mind these strategies, practice them at home, and be ready in case somebody does come up on you.
All right, so this video more hit on you're walking your dog and you come across another dog, but all of those tips were very helpful, especially the distraction, the throwing of the treats, the quick U-turn of your dog, all very good skills to remember if you're walking and you come across walking your dog and coming across another dog. The umbrella that they showed was a very good example of the deflection that I was talking about earlier. Even while you're walking on your own, it sounds silly, but always carrying an umbrella with you, even obviously if it's not raining, like I said, with the dog that is aggressive, that opening of that umbrella is such a good barrier to keep a dog kind of distracted from you, and not only distracted from you, but create that barrier between you and that aggressive dog. And it's such a simple thing to just carry around with you when you're walking. So next slide, I told you guys I was going to talk to you about some body language guides. We as humans, we anthropomorphize our animals, pets, etc. Oh, I didn't mean to go back. Sorry. We anthropomorphize our dogs and pets a lot. And so unless you've been working with animals for a very long time, I would say that mostly the regular person doesn't quite read dog body language very accurately. We sometimes read what a dog's sign of stress is as sad or just complacent. So it's very good to remind yourself to look at these body languages, because we look at dogs through our eyes and see our body languages, and it's totally different between ours and theirs. So I got some guides pulled up here. This bigger. This PDF, just going over some of the body language and explanations. Both PDFs are going to be kind of doing this. Accurately interpreting a dog's posture and body language can help people interact safely with the dog, including recognizing when it is safe to even approach, much less attempt to handle a dog. So we're going to talk about a non-fearful dog. What are we going to look for in the body posture, the tail, the ears, the mouth, the eyes? We're going to look for soft muscles, a loose, wiggly body, almost free of any sort of stress or, lots of motion. The tail will be in a relaxed position. It may be wagging. Ears kind of neutral, not up, not down, just very neutral. Mouth even appears soft, tongue out. Eyes are soft. So these photos, very good examples of very non-fearful, happy, relaxed dog. Soft ears, soft eyes, soft muzzle. This one's play bowing, so he really just wants to play with you, which is a big thing on dogs. Is play bow is I want to play with you, I'm ready to go. So those are the things that indicate that a dog is relaxed. So fearful dog body language. We're going to look for more tense, more hard and stiff, weight unevenly distributed, low back, high and forward, sort of protective, tail kind of mid or low, sometimes can be wagging, tucked, ears going to be pulled back, rotated down, or even erect and forward, mouth closed. You can look in their muzzle and see the tension. They do get a nose wrinkle as well at the top of their nose. Eyes going to be open, scanning, darting. You do see some tension in their brow. These photos, this one, I believe some people could interpret as cute puppy underneath of the table here, but looking at the eyes, looking at how he's looking away, kind of tucked down. Ears, you can barely see that they're kind of a little bit more down, and just very much a little on the fearful side. This is a good example. This Frenchie here kind of, I would think a normal person would just look at it and see, oh, it's just a little Frenchie sitting there. But if you really, learn these body languages and look at it at a more, in the eyes of the dog body language, he's sitting there, but his eyes are, his ears are alert. He's looking intently. He's kind of turned his head a little bit, but he's also cornered himself in this against this wall here. So I wouldn't say a very fearful dog, but definitely more of like a what's going on kind of look about him. This one is an obvious. I think most people would look at this and understand that this is fearful, but this to me is, it's a look of aggression, but it's also of, if you can look in the eyes and the brows, that I'm scared and I'm showing you I'm scared. It's not just like I'm being angry to be angry. It's very much like I'm protecting myself and I'm going to do what I need to do because I'm fearful. Last would be the ambivalent, kind of mixed, can't be red, can't be green. Both approach and retreat, partial, impartial, some calming signals that dogs use, sort of how they sign to other dogs that either they're calming down or just they need some displacement. So scratching, sniffing the ground, eating, drinking, sort of things that we would see a dog do and not really think much of it, but they actually do have a lot of meaning, which is kind of when we sit and twiddle our thumbs because we're kind of like nervous and anxious, they sort of the same things that dogs kind of do, and not necessarily something you're seeing a dog do and you need to worry about, but you have to understand that there's a reason why this dog is doing those things. So appeasement gestures would be play bow, turning a head, smiling. So this is a appeasement being a dog that kind of a little bit more on the submissive side, wants to show other person or other dog that I'm not a threat. I just want to play. I just want to be your friend. So a little bit of fear in those kind of appeasement gestures, but not necessarily a fear that you need to worry about. A lot of these stress signs are things that I think people don't think too much of. Again, when you think of a dog licking its nose and yawning, you're like, oh, a dog's just yawning. But these actions oftentimes do have a lot of meaning. A lot of lip and nose licking is very much an anxiety. The yawning is like another, it's anxiety, but then also displacement. So it's I'm anxious, but I'm trying to keep the other dog calm as well. So I'm really not trying to be a threat. I'm yawning and I'm anxious about it. So I'm trying to show you that I don't mean any harm. The shaking off, darting eyes. So yes, calming signals definition indicate a dog is not entirely comfortable or sure about the social interaction that is occurring. So these behaviors should be interpreted as proceed with caution. So one or two behaviors, just keep a lookout, but once you start seeing them do multiple things, you really should start to, wonder if I need to back off or leave this dog alone. I'm trying to get through this quickly, but this other PDF is really good as well. Everything is in the PowerPoint and it's all linked at the end of it as well if you guys ever want to go back and read these more in depth. I like this body language guide really well. The photos are really fitting for what they're describing. So eyes, when you're looking at a dog, you'll see that they appear threatened, the furrowed brow. This dog you can see has the white in its eye, and if you work in animal service or animal control, we hear the term kind of whale eye a lot. And you're not really going to see the whites of a dog's eyes very often unless they're having that fear or unsure kind of turned. So we call that whale eye because their eye is turned and it kind of resembles how a whale peeks out of the water. You see the big eye kind of turning, but you can see a little bit of that here with this dog kind of looking away, kind of just very worried. Ears are back. a little bit, stress in the body and muscle here. So this is a very good example of very fearful, kind of scared dog. Ears are going to be another very important in the body language. Up can, ears very high up can mean a lot of things. Essentially just means very attentive. You have to read the other parts of the body to know whether or not that this is attentive because I'm interested. Is it I'm interested because you're a threat, or is it I'm interested because you seem like, you are, look like you would be cool to play with, or I really want to meet you. So it could mean different things, but up is very much like attentive. It's just aware of what's going on. Mouth, of course, I believe most people kind of realize that, dogs are growling, they're showing their teeth. Obvious, that's probably one of the most well-known and obvious signs that the dog is being aggressive. But as I said earlier, with the scrunching of the nose and the tightness in the lips and jaws, these are all things that you can also watch as well. You'll see them if their dog is being stressed and if this is like going on to be something that could be dangerous. And the tail, of course, again, we think that a wagging tail would always indicate a friendly dog. Unfortunately, I've had lots of interactions with dogs that could have bitten me and they were wagging their tail the whole time. So wagging is not necessarily a friendly gesture. So just be aware if you're having a dog coming up to you, it's loose, or or you're meeting a dog, just because it's wagging its tail doesn't mean that it's friendly. A lot of dogs do this out of fear, kind of a wag. There's a lot of research on dogs' tails wagging and the direction of the wag and the speed of the wag. It's very interesting. Of course, I won't go into all of that, but yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on the tail, whether it's standing straight up or if it's completely, underneath of the dog. That's just part of the body language that you should be interpreting. Last would be fur. Everybody I think is aware that when a dog is fearful, the fur on the back of the neck and sometimes goes all the way down the body will stand up. This could be frightened, it could be nervous, it could be aggressive. All of those things were something that you should be cautionable about if a dog is showing it. So it could just be that, your dog's meeting a new dog and all of its fur goes up. That doesn't necessarily mean that the dog whose fur is up is going to bite. But again, you need to just keep an eye on, because that dog at the minimum is just frightened and nervous. It could be that it's about to be aggressive. So that is just one of the multiple things to look out for. And I just need to get back to the Zoom, if I can. There we go. So again, ears, fur, tail, posture. Start practicing looking at, when you're meeting dogs or looking at photos of dogs online. I've got these two pictures here kind of as an example. This photo at the top here, people might look at and just like, this dog is just looking off into the distance and who knows, he's just kind of thinking or not really too much thought into it. But as somebody who, works with animals full time, this dog to me, not necessarily a threat, but to me, that is a dog with a little bit of worry in its face, kind of looking, kind of unsure, a little bit of the white of the eye here. Ears aren't up, kind of down, not super relaxed, a little bit of worry in the forehead, kind of a stiff body. Wouldn't necessarily say like this dog is aggressive or this dog is going to bite, but just if we're just reading the photo, definitely one that's just like, not sure what that is. So a lot more to it than just, oh, it's just a dog staring. Oh, not mean to do that again. And lastly, this last photo, again, reading the body language, dog is looking up, both dogs are looking up at one thing off camera. We don't know what they're looking at, but reading the language, this guy's tail is up, this guy's tail is down. I know he has pointy ears, but his ears are completely up. His ears are interested, but they could definitely be higher if he wanted them to be. So again, this isn't just a viewing of whether these dogs are aggressive, but just looking at this dog is very interested in whatever it's looking at. And this dog is interested, but he's pretty chill about it. So those are the things to look for when you're looking at trying to read body language. And the next slide. So this slide is just going to be about avoiding other bites. So other situations other than just walking and seeing a loose dog where we can do better to avoid being bitten. Just keep yourself out of harm's way. So first off, always ask permission before touching someone's pet. This applies to any situation. In my opinion, that means if it's your friends, if it's you're meeting your friend's pet for the first time, if you're going over to a neighbor's house for the first time, or if you're meeting a stranger on the street, always, always, always ask permission before petting. You don't know an animal's story just by looking at them. Also, it's just a courtesy. You wouldn't walk up to a family walking down the street and go petting on their, young toddler. So it's the same, these pets are family members. You should try to treat them in the same way, and it's just a good way to avoid getting bitten. You can ask permission for people if it's, hey, can I pet your dog? And hopefully that interaction is good for you, but just doing that simple thing is going to really help you from putting yourself in a situation where a scared dog kind of reacts to not being, ready to be touched in that moment. So this is a really important one for me. Don't stick your finger over or through a fence to pet an animal. You might know the dog. You might have met the dog on the street 2 days before, and the dog was very friendly. Unfortunately, if you work with animals or animal services, you know that dogs especially can have something called barrier aggression, which means that dog might be the friendliest dog when it's being walked by its owner, but there's a territory there, there's the barrier there that's kind of put between you two, and that dog might act completely like a completely different dog, and it's just not worth the risk of reaching over and petting a dog or sticking your hand through a fence or finger through a fence. Also, when you're sticking a finger through the fence, a lot of times the dog doesn't know if you're sticking a hot dog through the fence or your finger through the fence, so it would be kind of an unintentional bite that way as well. Teach children about respectful ways to touch household pets. Very important. Can't say enough how important it is to start that at a very young age. Teaching children how to pet softly, no grabbing or pulling, and then of course reading the animal signs when they're saying, hey, I'm not ready to be touched right now, and teaching children to respect that. It's going to keep them from being bitten. And hopefully, keeping that furry family member in your house so that, we don't have a bite incident and then we don't want to keep the pet anymore. We have to be more diligent about teaching the children to be respectful of animals, just as though they would be respectful to other people. Obviously, and also we'll add that never ever allow your animal or your child to jump on top of, no matter how big your dog is, always never let a child jump on top or ride a dog like a horse. I think it kind of goes without saying, but these are the situations that could turn bad really easily, especially if you have an older dog who, you don't know the dog has, back pain and the kid jumps on the back, and all the dog knows is that, hey, that hurts, and how does a dog show that that hurts and I don't want that to happen anymore? Sometimes the reaction is to turn and bite, because that's just part of how they communicate. And then never leave especially young children unattended with a pet. So I know you might have the sweetest dog or the sweetest cat ever, but for safety reasons, probably best to just never leave a child unattended with a pet. And don't touch wildlife. Should be fairly self-explanatory, but unfortunately, more often than not, have to tell people about that. The reasonings being rabies, worms, fleas, ticks, etc. All of those things could be badly, not including the animal biting you. Keep your pet's leash in public. Even the most well-behaved and trained dog is at a risk when being off of leash. This keeps your pet safe. You have your pet under control, especially in public. Keeping your dog on a leash, you can pull the dog back if there's a bad situation. Your dog might have the best recall, but nothing works as fastly as pulling on the leash and keeping them safe. Also, there are people in public that are fearful of dogs or have a phobia. So it's just respectful as well to keep your pet on a leash in public. And keep your pets up to date on rabies. Pretty self-explanatory, but saves you more trouble down the line if your pet gets bitten. You don't have to go through if your pet gets bitten, you'll have to go through a 10-day quarantine instead of a 30-day or 40-day or 4-month quarantine. And College Park does a rabies clinic twice a year. So if you're a College Park resident, no real excuse not to, and they're free rabies clinics. So no real excuse not to have your pet vaccinated. And then lastly, never tease, startle, corner, or antagonize an animal. Should go without saying, but unfortunately, I see a lot of kind of cute videos of people spooking their pets, scaring their pets, chasing their pets. I know that it's cute and it makes for a funny video, but these are the situations that you're putting yourself into to have them handle it and handle it and handle it. And then there's going to be one time where the animal's just kind of had enough. And then that's when, we result in a bite. And this is my last slide. Pretty simple. So when you need medical attention, we have what's called rabies reporting. It's the bite reporting that we do whenever something is bitten. The Department of Health requires all bite and non-bite exposures to be reported. So a bite is any penetration of the skin by teeth. So a technical bite, going to be teeth, and there's going to be broken skin. Doesn't matter how lightly the skin is broken. If it's broken, then it's a bite. And then non-bite exposures include scratches, abrasions, open wounds. Going to be accidental needle slips. You touch an animal that just got ran over, a wild animal that just got ran over by a car. You have cuts on your hands and you touch the bloody animal. Blood to blood, it's a non-bite exposure, and they all count as something that if you don't know what the rabies status is on that animal, it should be reported. Bites can be reported to the following police agencies. Most police officers do carry bite reports on their vehicles. Animal control agencies, of course, we carry those, and also veterinary offices. More often than not, you're going to be going to the veterinary office for a bite to your pet, but they have to do the reporting just the same. So if you have no luck with any of these, you can go to the veterinary office as well. When possible, always try to get rabies information from the owner of the attacking animal. I know this is it's a stressful incident. There's adrenaline, you don't know what's going on. But if you're with someone or if you're by yourself, try to take the 2 seconds. It's not even just that you're trying to make the job easier for the animal control officer that has to go out, but for yourself, for your safety, for rabies, try to take that time and see if you can get that information, even if it's the address that the person came from or the address that the animal came from. All that information is so important into trying to figure out whether a pet is vaccinated for rabies and hopefully save you a hospital trip that results in 10 injections, which I've had to go through. It's not very fun. Just listed the non-emergency police line, the College Park Animal Welfare again, Prince George's County Animal Services line, all of these lines that you can call if you need help reporting a bite or help with anything related to aggression or loose animal within the city. And that's it. I really appreciate you guys letting me share this with you. I'm open to any questions that anyone might have.
So, Rebecca, can you post your email address
Mhm.
and also the date of the next rabies and microchip clinic.
Well, the date hasn't been released yet. Do you want me to do
Okay.
that?
When it, no, when it's scheduled. Yes.
Okay,
If it's been scheduled, go ahead and put it on the chat.
it's supposed to be.
And then if anyone has questions, please, we're running a little late. And
Sorry.
I want to leave Major Coletti some time. So if you have any questions, please direct them to Rebecca on email. And then if it's general information, we'll post that information on the webpage. This presentation and all of our public safety Zoom meetings are posted on the city webpage. So that even last year's presentation is available, those kinds of things. So thought it was important to get this information out. We've had some bite experience recently. One resident dog has been impounded because it had bitten a person and also bitten and killed another dog. So Rebecca does a good job of investigating those incidents, working with police and county animal management to follow up on these kinds of things. So thank you, Rebecca. It was a great presentation. Let's move on. Major Coletti, we'll turn the floor over to you.
Good evening. We'll go ahead and get started. If we can go down to the next slide, please. Just the an overall slide showing the crimes that have occurred in the city. You can go back to the first page, the first map, please. Right there. That's perfect. Just an overview of all the crimes that have been reported in the city of College Park during the month of September. I'm not going to go through each and every crime. I'll try to highlight the ones I believe that are important. So we can go through the next slide, please. This slide is showing the robberies we've had in the city. As it indicates, we've had 2 commercial robberies and 4 citizen robberies. Our commercial robbery, one was at the Shoppers Food on Cherry Hill Road. It was basically a shoplifting that turned into a robbery as the suspect displayed a box cutter as he was stealing items out of the store. Our second commercial robbery occurred at the 7-Eleven on Edgewood Road. The suspect entered the store, approached the employee, displayed a knife, and demanded money, basically fled with the merchandise and cash from the 7-Eleven store. I'll briefly talk about our 4 citizen robberies. Our first one occurred at 8616 Baltimore Avenue, which is over there by the car wash. Officer had a call for a disorderly. The suspect, who was a female, was stopping vehicles on Baltimore Avenue. She actually reached inside one of the vehicles, tried to steal the driver's cell phone. There was a struggle. The cell phone fell out of the vehicle. Officers arrived, and they were able to place her under arrest. So she was charged with robbery. We had an armed citizen robbery in the 4800 block of Lackawanna Street. The victim is a pizza delivery employee. She was approached by 2 suspects. They displayed a knife. They stole her cash. The suspects fled the area in a vehicle. That's still an active case. We also had another armed citizen robbery, 9723 Baltimore Avenue. The victim was in the area. 2 suspects approached the victim, displayed handguns, demanded his property. The victim complied, and the suspects stole the victim's wallet and fled the area. And the last, we had another armed citizen robbery, 7302 Yale Avenue. The victim was taking the trash out. Suspects approached the victim. They pushed him to the ground. They placed an unknown sharp object against the victim's body. They stole the victim's cash and fled the area. So all these incidents are being investigated and they're active at this time. You can go to the next slide. We've had 8 reported assaults in the city for the month of September. And I will just briefly talk about just one of them. We had an armed assault at 7295 Cornell Avenue. The victim was working as a delivery person driving a delivery truck. He was flagged down by the suspect. They had a verbal dispute. The suspect went to his vehicle, retrieved a handgun, and pointed at the victim. The victim fled the area, called the police. Our investigators were able to identify the suspect, and we applied for and received a warrant for his arrest. He has been arrested. I'm just trying to think if there's any other assaults worth speaking about. All right, we can go to the next slide. So we've had 3 commercial burglaries in the city and 2 residential burglaries. I don't think there's really much of anything important. I can just tell you that the commercial burglaries were at the, a business on Branchville Road, the 5100 block that was broken into. Another commercial burglary is at 9113 Baltimore Avenue, which is a construction site. And the third one was at a pharmacy on Greenbelt Road. You can jump to the next slide, please. Just a slide showing the theft from autos and other thefts we've had in the city. Out of the 21 reports of theft from autos, 12 of them we've had tires and rims stolen off the vehicles. 2 of them we had the Cadillac converter stolen. We had a report of 6 shoplifters for the month. Out of the 6, we made arrests in 2 of them. Go to the next slide, please. Auto theft, we had a total of 12 vehicles stolen in the city. 3 of those were Hyundais. We track them by the makes. So 3 of them were Hyundais. Next slide, please. Just once again, it's just showing the heat mapping that we use to identify areas regarding noise complaints. You can just take a look at it. Next slide. Just the heat mapping, we're just talking about quality of life issues. Next slide. This is just showing where officers are stopping individuals, what we call field interviews. We conducted 30 of them in the city. Gives you a good idea where we're stopping people. This is where a lot of the crime is occurring. And also it's traffic stops, I believe. And while we're on the topic of traffic stops, for the month of September, contract officers issued 31 citations, 13 warnings, and 20 safety equipment repair orders. And those 3 categories were just pertaining to vehicles with loud exhausts.
Can you repeat those numbers again?
Yeah, for the month, it was 31 citations, 13 warnings, and 20 safety equipment repair orders just for the month of September. And since I've been tracking citations, I started tracking citations back in April 9th of 2021. And as of date, we have issued 760 citations, 360 warnings, and 211 safety equipment repair orders. And that's for anything pertaining to loud exhausts. And while I'm going to talk on the topic talking about crime, this morning we had 2 7-Elevens broken into. We had the 7-Eleven broken into at 2 o'clock in the morning on Rhode Island Avenue, 8905 Rhode Island Avenue. The suspects broke into the ATM machine, stole cash. Then they went up to the 7-Eleven on Greenbelt Road at 5800 block in Berwyn and did the same thing. They broke into the 7-Eleven, stole cash at the ATM machine. You can go to the next slide, please. Just a monthly comparison, looking at violent and nonviolent crimes. Next slide. Just the crime stats for the year 2023. I just let everybody just take a look at it. Next slide, please. Just some definition of the crimes that we normally talk about every meeting. I know a lot of people always ask about quality of life issues. There's your disordered conducts, loitering, controlled dangerous substance calls for service. Next slide. I think that might be it.
Yes, that's the last one.
Okay, thank you. So I'll open it up. I went through it pretty quick, but if anybody has any questions referring to crime, we can go ahead and handle that.
If I may.
Sure.
The first question, I have two questions. One is actually not in your jurisdiction. It was on the University of Maryland campus recently where there was attempted carjacking at Regents Drive Garage. And I just wondered what you knew about that. And the second was related to the tire thefts. And I wondered if the police department would recommend people to buy the locking lug nuts for their tires, for their wheels.
Sure. I mean, listen, whatever you can do to safeguard your valuables, your property is a great idea. That's an excellent idea, putting locks on your wheels. I always recommend people park very close to the curb, turn your wheels into the curb. It makes it very difficult for them to put a jack underneath the vehicle when you're so close to the curb. And normally they always want to get a set of tires. So if they're only able to get 2 of them, they'll go down to the next vehicle. And talking about the carjacking, we're well aware of it. We work very closely with the University of Maryland Police Department. We both share information regarding crime, and so we're well aware of it.
Major Colletti, there's a question in the chat. If there's any information that can be shared with the public about the Peeping Tom complaints.
No, I don't have any information to share with the public.
Thank you.
Bob, I think Carol has her hand up, I believe.
Yes. Blanca, can you Carol, can you hear us?
He's unmuted, it looks like.
Carol, if you want to go ahead with your question. Carl Magnus, you have your hand up. Can you?
You can submit the question in the chat, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know that she can hear us.
I just sent her a direct message and asked her.
Hey, Bob, there's somebody else with their hand up. I don't know who it is.
Hey, my name's Felipe Troncoso. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Yep, we got you.
I live in Berwyn on 49th Avenue. I just want to say the service from Prince George's County Police has been excellent in my area. I really appreciate your efforts. But one of my concerns with a lot of the crime issues, and I don't know if PG County Police is getting support on this, and it was also through a personal experience. It seems like a lot of the individuals who are getting arrested, once they go into the criminal justice system, they're not really being prosecuted or their cases are being dismissed. That's what happened to me. I had an individual about a year ago was basically vandalizing a significant amount of bus stops up and down the Route 1 corridor in College Park. Prince George's County essentially arrested him. It took a while for them to find him. They did. And then once he went to court, I went to court twice as a state's witness, but then the state, I don't remember if it was either local or the state, it happened down in Hyattsville at the courthouse. The subject never showed up. And then they never really issued a bench warrant for him. And then essentially the state or the local prosecutor essentially just dismissed the charge. And so my concern is that we're asking the police department to make all these efforts, but then on the criminal justice side, things are just sort of being dropped. And I think it's important for the city, especially the council members and the mayor, to maybe speak and reach out to the prosecutor's offices and say, hey, these are our priorities in our county. I'm sorry, not in the county, but in the city. And when these things do occur and they get arrested, that, we really would like these cases resolved on the criminal justice side. That's really what I wanted to say.
Well, I thank you, and you have many elected officials on the meeting, so I appreciate you speaking up, and maybe somebody will take notice.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing this. Could you please share the information with maybe a Councilmember Whitney, who is actually a district council member, and I'm Fazil Kabir, I'm the mayor. I would appreciate it if you could please share the information with us with some details, like the time of the incident happened, a little bit more detail.
I'll be glad to share it. Like I said, I think that's already spilled milk, but like I said, it's just for the future. My concern is that it's like, we're asking the police to do all this stuff, and they're hitting on all cylinders. I think they're doing what we're asking them to do from a community perspective, but I don't think the prosecutors are necessarily getting the message, or they're getting the message from someone else saying, hey, I know there are certain issues that are sensitive, sometimes with the juvenile issues, but when it comes to the adults causing these sort of pretty blatant property crimes, stealing people's cars that they need for their work or their work tools, especially up in Hollywood, where there's a lot of those problems. There's no point in them doing all this work for us if sort of the loop doesn't get tied off or closed up. So, but I'll be glad to send you the information in that case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did anybody get a hold of, is it Carol?
I've been chatting with her. She is trying, she's not very savvy with this, so she's trying to, I asked her to go ahead and speak now. Well, she is unmuted. And she doesn't type well, so she's not chatting. I am unmuted. Okay. Okay. No, she's saying, can you hear me?
Hey, somebody has asked a question in the chat about, is there anything you can do to prevent Cadillac converters from being stolen? One thing I recommend, and I know it's a difficult thing to do, is you can always engrave your Cadillac converter and put your Maryland Soundex number, which is your driver's license number, on that converter. That's just something that you can do. I just want to make sure everybody understands the catalytic converters get very hot when you've been driving around. So if you are going to try to do it, please do it while the vehicle's cold, the engine's cold and everything.
Carol just said, just go ahead and forget it. She needed some type of meeting ID and phone number to call in. So no question from Carol.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, sure. I've been seeing on Nextdoor, there's like Ring camera data that shows people trying to break into cars, checking door latches and going around and doing that kind of thing. And is there anything, that with that data that can be helpful?
Listen, any data or any video we can get about any crime, we're more welcome to come out and take possession of that. But I always have to remind people, just because we have a picture of somebody committing a crime doesn't mean that we'll ever discover who that person is. It's like a needle in a haystack. Unless we've had dealings with a lot of these people, we can identify them. A lot of times it's nobody from the community or the public will step up and say, hey, I know who this person is. It's very difficult to identify somebody on the video if you have no knowledge who he is. And something I think I've always tried to say this to everybody. I'm very transparent and I speak the truth when it comes down to crimes. Property crimes are very hard to resolve. And at the rate that we're having violent crime, we put a lot of our efforts into violent crime, trying to close out those cases. But we do look at property crimes, but for the most part, property crimes are very hard to resolve. So, Alan, I guess the answer is yes. If everybody had a Ring come into their house, it can help for all kind of crimes. It's great. It's a great tool to have.
Certainly seen a lot of them out there as I'm campaigning.
Yeah. Major and Alan, just put my 2 cents in. We always tell people, posting on Nextdoor is okay, but it doesn't, that doesn't make a report to the police. So that should be secondary. If you witness a crime or suspicious activity, please call 911. Give the information to the police before you, and then you can share it with your neighbors. But again, Nextdoor and other social media doesn't make a police report or get an incident investigated. So please report crimes to the police so they can track trends and do a proper investigation.
There's a question in the chat. Where can the engraving be done? Can the police provide that engraver?
No, we do not.
You used to do it, right, before?
No, we had engravers for property, like if you wanted to engrave your TV set or your stereo. That's something that we used to do. We don't do it any longer. You can go to any hardware store and buy an engraver and engrave it yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Having your codex on there, would that actually stop them from doing it, or just they wouldn't be able to sell it, I guess, or something.
Well, it wouldn't stop them at all. Just nothing that's good. There's nothing out there that can stop somebody from stealing your catalytic converter. What it does this, let's say for instance, we stop somebody, which we have, and they have 4 catalytic converters in their car. Well, catalytic converters don't have any type of identifying marks on them. So if we did have a your Soundex number on there, and it's a Maryland Soundex, we can run it through the system, find out who you are, give you a call. You tell us, yeah, it was stolen from my car. Bingo, now we got somebody for possession of stolen property. So that's one of the biggest problems we have. We just can't identify where they come from.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good point.
How much are those engravers generally?
You know, honestly, I couldn't really tell you. I'm sure they're probably less than $50.
There's a question from the animal control officer. Can a mechanic add an oil change? I'm guessing maybe she means, can they do it when you get your oil changed?
Listen, I can't tell you what a service gas station would do for you. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I don't know if this helps with a lot of people on the line. They're just interested in crime, but I can tell you this: in our division, Division 1, when you look at robberies, right now I'm only up 12 robberies for the year. I'm up 6%. I've had a decrease in citizen and residential robberies, but my biggest increase is carjackings. So I'm up for 20 for the year, which is a large number. So currently we've had 44 carjackings in Division 1. Last year at the same time, we only had 24. Unfortunately, I'm up by murders by 1. Currently, we had one last night off of Red Top Road. So we've had 13 so far for the year. Last year, we only had 12 at the same time. I'm up 35 crimes when it comes to violent crime for the year compared to last year. It sounds like, I mean, of course it's bad, but other divisions, they're up a lot higher. One of the things that's really, when you talk about property crimes, and I'm just going to let everybody try to, so everybody can understand what we're dealing with. When you talk about theft from autos, currently we've had 1,215. Last year, we only had 1,159. So we've had an increase in 56 theft from autos. But when you look at stolen auto, this is incredible. Currently this year, we've had 1,050 cars stolen so far this year, just in Division 1. Last year, I only had 464. So we're up 586 stolen vehicles, and it's a lot. And I don't have an answer why, but it just gives you an idea of what we're dealing with when you just talk about property crime, not talking about violent crime.
Was that 464 for the entire year last year?
No. Last year at this time, we only had 4.
Okay.
Major, I mean, we hear a lot in the news lately about juveniles involved in carjackings. And, you know, the one comment earlier by the resident about how criminals are being turned loose with no consequences. I think my understanding, and maybe a council member might be more familiar, but the state passed a law last year that restricted interviews of juveniles when they've been arrested for violent crimes like that. I mean, is there any foreseeable change in the law? I think that was conversation I heard on the news, that there's efforts now to restore some of the consequences in the law for juveniles.
I mean, I will say this, it is having, in a law enforcement standpoint, is having an effect on us, on how we conduct investigations. And just so that everybody's on the same page, under Maryland law, we as law enforcement officers are prohibited by law to interviewing or conducting an interrogation with a juvenile. That's anyone under the age of 18, no matter what crime they have committed. They can commit a murder, they can commit a armed carjacking, they can commit any other crime. We are prohibited by law to speak with that juvenile. The only way we can speak with that juvenile is if his attorney, not his parents, if his attorney gives us the okay, they authorize us to speak with them. And I think common sense will tell you no attorney is going to allow their client to talk to you. So that's having a big effect on law enforcement, on how we try to solve some of these crimes. I've heard talk about it. I don't have any personal knowledge on what the General Assembly is going to do, if anything. But it is an issue, and as with anything else, we continue to do our jobs, and we just have to obey the law.
We have another question in the chat from Ms. Anderson. It says, have you seen a connection with the increase in the new housing and new development to the increase in crime in your division or other divisions?
I have not seen an increase talking about with the new housing or the new developments. I believe she's probably talking about maybe Baltimore Avenue. I have not noticed or seen an increase just because of those new housing developments, if you want to call it that, the high rises.
Thank you.
And while I'm here, I just want to talk about two things that's been brought to my attention several times. And I know a lot of people get aggravated by it, but the new restaurant on Baltimore Avenue, I know a lot of people are complaining about, vehicles trying to get into the lot and they're backing up traffic on Baltimore Avenue. And also the mayor sent something out about the Starbucks traffic's backing up on Cherry Hill Road. I understand people's frustration, but I think that's something that the city can work with those businesses to see if they can come up with some type of traffic plan to get their customers in and out. It's not always the police responsibility, because if you look at it at our standpoint, when traffic backs up on Baltimore Avenue because of the events at Comcast Center, I don't hear anybody complaining about it. So I like to, I think it's a good thing, because that means people are coming to the city. They're spending their money at the businesses. I can understand with the frustration regarding both restaurants. I did put a VMS board out on Baltimore Avenue telling people not to stop or park on Baltimore Avenue. But and we have talked to the management team. They've been very good with us. They have cooperated 100%. So I think you'll see that issue die down. I think the average is for anybody in that industry that usually the first 45 days is when they have a large increase of customers trying out any new restaurant. So I'm hoping that the Baltimore Avenue issue will quiet down. The Starbucks, I think somebody from the city should talk to the management team to see if maybe can they redesign the vehicles going into the shopping center to give them a bigger queue so that the cars aren't on Cherry Hill Road. Maybe they're having a hard time with employees. There's so many reasons why this is occurring, and I don't want to say that I'm not concerned about it, but some of these issues I think can be handled in a different way instead of having the police go out and for us to try to temporarily fix it for that day. So,
Let me add some. Thank you, Major. The city, to your point, the city has been in touch with the shopping center owner, the Michael's property management, and also the Starbucks management, and we have been working with them for a long time. They're in the process of a plan. They have developed a plan and they have submitted to. They will be submitting shortly to DPI, but that will take, I don't know, many months. You're going to have some community conversation and also the city council discussion, most likely. So it will take time. What is going on there? It's a daily thing. Every morning, if you go there between 7 and 9 o'clock, and also in the evening, there's a long line of traffic backup, and that extends to Cherry Hill Road. So one lane of the Cherry Hill Road is completely blocked because of the drive-through traffic. And what's happening, if someone comes from Route 1 and tries to go into Cherry Hill Road, making right turn, all of a sudden they see a blocked traffic. So it's a safety issue because people do not know that there is a blocked traffic when they turn right immediately after Route 1. So that's the frustration. It's a safety issue. People are worried that there could be an accident happening anytime, because that is if you remember, there is a slope right from Route 1 to Cherry Hill, and people actually oftentimes come very fast. So that is the concern. It's a safety-related issue. I know the businesses need to be protected, and the city will be city has been working with them, but it's not going to be fixed very soon.
That's been going on for 10 years.
And
Yes.
on better news, for the new restaurant, the Little Blue Menu, Major, thank you for the message board you put up. I think that's been very helpful, telling people they can't stop or stand in the roadway. Tomorrow morning, I'm going with the director of planning and the city engineer to meet with the manager there. We reviewed their detailed site plan that was approved when they built that business, and it shows that entrance being open. So we'll certainly work to get them to stop blocking their entrance on Baltimore Avenue. That's what's been creating a backup at that location. So if people come down and expect to be able to turn into their parking lot, and they've been putting traffic cones across that for people who aren't familiar with that location. So we're going to meet with them tomorrow and work to get them to stop that practice.
so Bob, my question to you then is, I believe when they first opened up, people were complaining that vehicles were stopped on Baltimore Avenue trying to get into that business.
Right.
If you remove those cones from that driveway, do we recreate that problem again?
No, they were stopped in the roadway because the cones were there blocking the entrance. So if we can get them to keep their entrance open, that I believe there's room in their parking lot for people can queue up, pick up their carry out food, and then they can either exit back onto Baltimore, or they can exit on the other side on Hardwick or Guilford, I guess it is. So we'll see what solution we can come up with for them. And for some reason, they don't always and I see Councilmember Whitney said we have concerns about pedestrians on the sidewalk if the driveway is open. Of course, pedestrian safety is important, but we have driveways all along Baltimore Avenue in and out of businesses. One of the new problems is that people on the electric scooters and such who don't stop for anybody, don't stop for traffic, for stop signs, red lights, pedestrians. I know the university has a huge problem on campus that they're trying to change behavior. So I hope we can do that off campus also.
While I got you guys here, I just wanted to mention, this is changing the subject a bit. A resident and I were speaking about the issues of these vehicles that are like doing donuts and things like that, creating all this noise and issues in the neighborhoods and around the area. One thing, just by conversation, we realized is that it seems that they're attracted to new paint and fresh asphalt. Is that something that is on your radar? As for being aware, expecting it to be happening there, and maybe patrolling that area?
First of all, Alan, the people that are doing donuts are doing them all over the place. I understand what you're talking about, new asphalt. They want to see the marks in the roadway. They think it might look cool, but they're doing it everywhere. And to be honest with you, I don't have the staff to try to monitor any new freshly paved roadway. This is not just a problem unique to College Park. It's not unique to Prince George's County. This is becoming a nationwide problem. And I think the question people should be asking is, what's the judicial system doing regarding people who violate traffic laws? And if the punishment meets the crime.
Yes, council has advocated for stronger penalties for people with exhibition driving. Actually, there were bills that were put forward in the last session that we sent a letter in favor of stiffer penalties for that behavior. And unfortunately, that bill did not move forward, but we're hoping it will this year.
Yes, and I've talked to the state delegate up in Beltsville. I was helping her office regarding that bill. So hopefully we see something in the future. But Alan, it's a major issue, and I'll just express to everybody on the line, we cannot chase anybody for a traffic violation. And a lot of these individuals, the violators, they will run from us, they will flee, and based on our general orders, we cannot chase them. I probably have somebody run from us almost every night of the week.
I mean, this seems to be a nationwide issue. Are there any talks, strategies being worked on to address these issues at a national level?
I think most of it's because it's just a traffic violation. I think it's up to each and every jurisdiction. It's up to the citizens, the voters. You get the police department and the judicial system that you want, and I think it's not up to Jimmy Coletti or Bob Bryant. It's up to the voters to decide what they want or what they've had enough of, and then it's up to the elected officials to change it.
Above us.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know it's more than just the city. It's not it's a state issue. It's a state violation. But it's, it is an issue, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. I mean, I will say this, and the incident that we had at Edgewood Road and Rhode Island Avenue was handled probably one of the best. That situation was handled 5 stars. The shift lieutenant that was working handled it properly. We did stop 2 individuals or 2 vehicles. I know it doesn't sound like a lot when there's over 100 people involved, but nobody got hurt, and we were able to charge both of them, and it worked out perfectly. And that's how we should be handling it, because everybody knows if we do chase somebody and somebody gets hurt, they blame the police, and I don't need to go into that. But that situation was handled perfectly, but it took up a lot of assets. We had to use officers from Division 1, Division 6, which is Beltsville, and we use our aviation unit. So we're using a lot of assets for somebody who's doing what? Spinning wheels, driving, inappropriately in the roadway, which could get somebody seriously hurt. But every day we're dealing with violent crime too. So, but that was handled perfectly, and I talk about it all the time. I talked with the state delegate. I'm trying to think of Mary. I forgot her last name, but Layman, yes. So I did talk to her and her staff about it, and I actually showed them the videos from our aviation unit regarding that incident. So it is what it is. We'll continue to work on it. Any other questions?
If if anyone has questions you think of after tonight, certainly you can send us an email, and we'll follow up with Major Coletti. There's also, for those who are interested, there's a coffee club once a month. It's online. Our COPS officers send that information out every month, and people can participate in that also. That's a broader meeting. It's the entire Division 1 area, so there are a lot of people from other areas, other towns who participate in that. So the issues are wider ranging than just College Park, but that's open to anyone. And if there are no further questions for Major Coletti, it's 9 o'clock. And so thank you all for participating. And anyone if you think there's anyone who would be interested in tonight's meeting, it will be posted on the city webpage. Give us a day or so to get it up. And then that will be available to everyone. So again, thank you very much. And good night, College Park. Thank you.